Welcome to Naka Tales. When your world shatters, you don't always hear the glass break. Sometimes you only feel the echo in your bones, the slow, imperceptible shift of everything you thought you knew. This is one of those stories, a tangled web of secrets, lies, and a final, desperate act that left more questions than answers. It begins in a small town, where only a few streets can carry a lifetime of betrayals. It was the autumn of 2015 when 12-year friends drifted apart. David and Sherry, my father's steadfast companion and my father's lover, had once seemed destined for each other. They matched in laughter, in easy morning conversations over coffee, in weekend concerts and quiet Sunday barbecues. But by September of that year, Sherry's eyes were elsewhere. They settled on Billy, Dad's longtime friend, the shy chemistry club nerd with an earnest smile. It began in the shadows. Text messages exchanged under fluorescent desk lamps at the auto parts store. A single drink at closing time. A furtive touch on the staircase. You and I both know what those first betrayals look like, don't we? They're simple, two hearts convinced they'll remain hidden, smart enough to be clever, foolish enough to believe they won't be found out. By Thanksgiving, my father was alone. His world gone cold. He'd lost his job in a car wreck, the aftershocks of a lawsuit settlement that wouldn't come. Christmas approached with grey skies and empty pockets. Sherry moved 3 streets over, renting a new house with the ease of someone who'd never look back. December arrived. Dad's back injury healed. His smile returned. He and I, father and son, rekindled what the affair had threatened to destroy. We talked daily. That bright morning of December 1st, at 8 a.m., he called me at work. He sounded triumphant, joking about my latest grades, making plans for our weekend road trip. He paused and admitted, almost shyly, that Sherry had called him that morning. He shrugged it off. Ignored her, he laughed. Later that evening, a family friend's voice trembled through my phone. "It's your dad," she said. I thought, car crash, heart attack, anything but what came next. Within minutes, my entire world unfurled as Dad's 2 brothers and Grandma pounded on my door. The truth landed like a hammer. Dad was dead. So was Sherry. They called it a murder-suicide. Billy, the high school friend, had discovered them both. His voice trembled as police interviewed him. The official story: Dad shot Sherry in a fit of rage, then, horrified by what he'd done, pressed the barrel into his own temple. Both had head wounds. Dad's gun still gripped in his stiff fingers. They found a small caliber pistol on the kitchen counter, Sherry's. Dad, a hunter with a safe full of rifles, never even touched his own weapon. Police said it was proof enough. He'd used the only gun in reach. They recounted a timeline of text messages and calls, how Sherry had phoned Dad at 7 a.m. unanswered, how he drove down the street to her house, found her body, paused, wrestled with his grief, then turned the gun on himself. They even told me, in cold detail, that the two had had intercourse before the tragedy. At the funeral, I watched strangers weep for a man I knew and loved, yet a man the police painted as murderer. My mind throbbed with the image of Dad's last moments. The nicely wrapped Christmas presents in Sherry's living room, the scent of his cigar smoke in her hallway, the lock clicking behind him when he left for work that morning. Her cat, hungry and meowing, never fed. The television still on. Morning coffee in the machine. A week later, I visited Dad's house to wrap up his affairs. The disorder froze me, the untended plants on the porch, the open laptop still humming, the nursery of forgotten cups and half-read magazines in the living room. It was as if he'd fled, not fled to kill himself. My gut slammed into me. Something was off. My boyfriend, a calm rock in stormy seas, helped me unlock Dad's flip phone. T9 only, the world of drones and keyboards a mystery to him. We discovered an 11-second call from Sherry that morning, but more chillingly, a string of text messages not in Dad's crusty shorthand, but in precise, flawless grammar. Messages he could never have typed. Who had been impersonating him? I tried to tell the police, but they closed ranks. Case is closed, they said, their voices polite but final. Nothing more to see. My pleas turned into nightmares of Dad's face, etched by fear and confusion in that final hour. I spoke of my gut, of how he wouldn't leave the cat to starve, how he never touched her gun, how he'd have never gone to a house he didn't know. But even gut instinct is no match for a certificate of death and an officer's testimony. For 5 years, I buried the aches in silence. I promised Dad I'd honor his memory. I kept the funeral program in a box of keepsakes, the single photo of him laughing in better times. But every night, I dreamed of Sherry's cat padding through her dark house, the echo of its small cries unanswered. It was only this spring, 6 years later, that a childhood friend revived the memory. "Have you heard about Billy's ex-wife's cancer?" she whispered. "She's dying. She wants to talk." I hesitated. My heart ached for any new twist in the unsolvable story. But her voice was desperate. I knew she might be the key. We met in a low-lit cafe, spring rain tapping the windows. Linda, Billy's stunned ex, looked frail, oxygen mask trailing from her nose, a line taped to her arm. Still, her eyes flared with the same determination I recognized in my father. I have to clear my conscience," she whispered, voice quaking. She told me how she'd always admired my dad from afar, how the rugged confidence he radiated had drawn her in years before Billy ever entered her life. She'd kept it secret. "And then," she said, tears spilling onto the table, "I watched him find Sherry's body. And he just broke. He didn't cry. He photographed them." She closed her eyes. He let her daughter see those pictures. The words cracked open a new vault of horror. Photography? A trophy case of death? My mind reeled. Linda recounted her account of a 2012 accident, the woman who fell down the stairs in Billy's house. He told police it was an aneurysm. She knew it was more. She'd begged them to investigate. They'd refused. "Every time," she gasped. "Another girlfriend, her mother, me, soon." She coughed, the oxygen hissing. "He told me the next one would be you." My pulse thundered. 4 women, lifeless in his orbit. Sherry, that nameless neighbor, then Sherry's brother's widow. Each death dismissed. Each story bending into his narrative. Linda's daughter, shaken by the graphic detail, had begged courts to enforce her father's child support. He'd vanished instead. He liquidated bank accounts. He abandoned 2 daughters. He reappeared once at the older one's wedding, pale, gaunt, a stranger in a black suit, and flicked away the invitation in the end. I sat back, anger bright as wildfire. Why kill Dad at all? I demanded. Sherry's money. Dad was broke. Linda's mask of exhaustion cracked into fury. He needed a murder weapon he could control. Sherry's gun. And he needed a scapegoat. Your father. A million pieces slashed at the pit of my gut. The borrowed time, the smiling funeral, the sloppy crime scene. The pugilistic slights of cops who refused to interrogate a corporate law graduate. The muffled phone records. The single bullet lodged in Dad's skull that never pierced his brain. "I'm sorry," she croaked. "I can't do more. They'll never reopen it. He'll keep outrunning us." In the days that followed, I filed Freedom of Information requests, pleaded with the state attorney's cold bureaucracy, and pounded on the FBI's door. All protocols shut behind me like iron gates. Then, in June, I met with Deputy Chief Martin, the officer who'd ruled the original case cut and dried. I brought him a memorial photo of my dad, still in his hunting vest. He studied it, face stony. "We replayed your FOI requests," he said. "We re-reviewed ballistic logs. We can't explain the timeline gap, the missing hour." "But you have the crime scene photo," I said. He hesitated, then slid an envelope across the table. Inside, a crisp 8x10 of my father's body on Sherry's faded rug, pistol slack in his lifeless hand. Blood forming a slick pool between his legs, a pool too wide to be a small caliber wound. My stomach roiled. I identified Dad's jacket by the torn button, his boot by the scuff-marked toe, and yes, that pistol was held just so. A prop, a tableau. Chief Martin's voice was gentle. "We believed in that evidence. We followed procedure. But I'll tell you this, I never believed it. I felt the dam break. Then why not reopen it? He leaned back. Politically impossible. No body to exhume. No living suspect to charge. It's a cold case. Papers go to archives. I stood, anger flaring. Then I'll do it myself. Now I work with Linda's lawyer, a quietly fierce investigative journalist, and a small team of truth seekers known only as RBI, the Reddit Bureau of Investigations. We've traced Billy to a ghost town in Arizona, followed his wire transfers, and uncovered shell corporations in his name. We believe Billy gambled Sherry's settlement in offshore accounts. We suspect he disappeared into witness protection scams, faked his own death once his ex's funeral was too quiet. And we know he's afraid, of his own reflection, of justice, of the many women whose lives he climbed upon and discarded. My father's name still lies in tarnished obituaries. Sherry's dust rests in an unclaimed urn next to my dad's. But I will not let the seasons erase their memory. To my father, I vow to finish what you could not, a reckoning. To Sherry, I promise that your story will not be buried by blood-stained lies. And to you, the listener, when your gut tells you that answers lie elsewhere, trust that whisper. Because sometimes the clearest crime is the one that fits too neatly, and someone brilliant enough to plan the perfect crime doesn't leave it wrapped in a neat murder-suicide note. They leave it in the gaps, the witness who never testifies, and the voice of a son who refuses to be silenced. Don't forget to subscribe. This has been another episode of Naka Tales. We'll keep digging until the truth is laid bare, no matter how deep it's buried.